Okay, so this time our topic is all about information technology management, the Industry 5.0. So of course, ready or not, no, Industry 5.0 is here. No? While many manufacturers are still busy developing methods for interconnecting new technologies to improve efficiency and productivity, the guiding principle behind Industry 4.0. So the next phase of industrialization is already upon us. No? But Industry 5.0 is not akin to Spinal Tap's Nigel Tufnel explaining that his guitar amplifier is louder than standard models because this one goes to 11. It's much more than simply bumping or bopping, no? And industrialization one tick higher on the dial. It's the next step in the evolution of manufacturing. So to grasp the full picture of Industry 5.0 and its implication, let us all welcome our presenter.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Now, well, just like what sir has said, my goal for this afternoon is to give you at least an equitable understanding of what Industry 5.0 is all about. And just like what sir has said, whether we like it or not, it is here already. After reading a few white papers around the internet and browsing a few contents online, I came to realize that Industry 5.0 is very exciting. While digital technologies and AI-based solutions are, of course, making it harder for companies to stay on top, just like we professionals, we need to keep on evolving as human beings. Well, apparently, the industry has changed a lot over the years, and the global economy, of course, faces tough difficulties, especially in the need to boost our productivity through, let's say, manufacturing. And of course, with the rise of technology, we wanted people to grow as well. And that is the main goal of Industry 5.0. Now, I would want to review the Industrial Revolution first. Now, based on my research, I found out that the first Industrial Revolution was all about water and steam power machineries. These are machineries which are run by water. So imagine a river, and then connected to the river is a circle wheel which makes it run, and then that flowing motion of water pushes machine to execute and do something. Now, the assembly lines. So from water powered machineries came the development of the railroad systems, and then yun nga, yung mass production and the assembly lines. Came the electronics automation, is the third industrial revolution. This is where we wanted to automate things. And we are very familiar with the cyber physical system. This is where we bring information together with automation, making sure that especially huge companies, profit is assured. However, I also found out that with the values the fifth industrial revolution offers, there are already companies which in my opinion, are practicing, they are already in 5.0. I'd like to cite the example, Tesla, for example, and some may disagree because Tesla is generating huge profit, and industrial revolution promises a human-centric mission, wherein bringing people as its priority, and growing with the technology. So imagine the fourth industrial revolution as the foundation of what 5.0 is all about. And I go back to my remarks that Tesla is because its mission driven is for sustainability. So I think 5.0 is more like value oriented, where environment is considered, human growth is considered, social stability and social sustainability must be prioritized towards the next sets of growth rather than profit. And Tesla, as an example, prioritizes renewable resources. So imagine a circular manufacturing where we start design, we now have a design paradigm in our head and in our companies where we would want to focus on renewable system and at the same time giving more opportunities for people for growth. And it's always projected these days that soft skill are very important, and it would drive the next values and power in businesses. So before, it's profit oriented. We wanted to automate. We wanted to produce as much things as much as possible so that people would consume. This time we would look at, is this sustainable? Would this let's say affect the environment directly, and would this bring growth to people? Looking at a dream, I would say an ideal setup where people would go to our workplaces and work 3 days a week, well, the rest of the 4 days are designed for growth. So the mindset would be, we are not only working, but we are contributing to the society. And I would say I am fairly impressed by such ecosystem of work. And I, of course, who would not want to join the companies in this feat? Okay. Now, manufacturers, of course, compete to meet the market wants, and it requires adaptable, intelligent, and flexible production lines. Now, business executives and manufacturing managers should integrate business and industrial production. In integration, it demands advanced industrial processes and tactics, looking at the integration of the suppliers, production, the processes, and of course, customer. Now, this mainly focuses today in the IoT, or the Internet of Things, which is the industry's 4.0 key asset. Um, in my personal opinion, it's like it's now becoming a bridge of a consensus between the IoT and technology, and at the same time balance between the soft skills and the environment. So now, the main drivers of the industry 4.0, which we are very familiar of, is of course the internet and the IoT being available almost everywhere. We have the business and the manufacturing integration, digital twins of real-world application, and efficient production lines and smart products. And in my continued reading and search the internet, now the concept introduced by the industry 4.0, just like what I said, was the foundation. And of course, we are all familiar with big data, cloud storage, yeah, the cloud computing that has just been discussed. And the topic I just reported this morning in Trends in IT, which is edge computing. Now, when it comes to efficiency and cost, we are very familiar that the industry 4.0 decreased cost and made production and processes very efficient. As a cited example online, that production cost on an average reduced by 10 to 30%, logistics by same, and a quality management cost by 10 to 20%. Now, I wanted to add as well that the presence of new technologies, especially, for example, the blockchain, adds value to an industry 5.0 being human-centric. The creation of the metaverse, if you are very familiar, so an unlimited space for people who would bring new possibilities, like perhaps virtual manufacturing, not only communication, but it's an endless possibility of new ecosystem may arise with the industry 5.0. Being Facebook as the main supporter of metaverse, and of course uh, other metaverses implementation and projects for the coming years from today 2022 and beyond, and it's very exciting, of course. Now, from 4.0, and I just like what said, it's here already, the 5.0, and but I would want to um, focus on the shift. Now, I've told you that the industry 4.0 automates operations and has introduced intelligent edge computing. Now, of course, the main aim is to improve the process efficiency, ignoring human cost because it's automated. Kumbaga, we removed the person and we maintained the machine and we made the machine more efficient. Now, this will be the largest problem once, of course, yung 4.0 has been fully implemented. Because just imagine as the scenario that while we are battling so many issues in society, like, of course, one is the pandemic, different diseases, of course, relationship of, country to country development of security measures. Of course, these are under our relationship because it talks about trade. And this becomes really, really challenging. Just imagine in the Philippines, looking at the GDP of our country with the OFW being the one of the best contributors and asking them to go back to the Philippines. Just an example. And not being able to offer these people opportunities. Just imagine the middle class not being prioritized would cause turmoil. Um, and I'd see social instability, diba? Yung unemployment, and that would be chaos. So it's about time that some of the companies are designing Industry 5.0 as the solution to somehow bridge the gap where labor organization and politician would meet together towards, of course, the neutralizing. I think it would be the transition to neutralize first and then eventually transition to a seamless implementation of 5.0. Now, since the second industrial revolution, we are also familiar that pollution has skyrocketed. And unlike in prior decades, in the first decades, the industry is increasingly focused on regulating the waste. So it was regulation rather than thinking of not producing waste, like focusing on what's renewable and handling and reducing its environmental impact. That was the focus. Due to government support, of course, and international organizations like United Nations, World Health Organization, and of course, companies whose values and mission are generally written to bring value to society and to the environment. These days, I would say, again, another opinion, that not all companies are like that. Some says this is our vision, but they focus on profit alone. And sustainability was not in any way, in any process in their operations. For example, labor conditions are not part of the program. Growth, professional growth, and lack of focus to what's more important, and just imagine the social instability brought by middle class having problems in employment would be very, very bad as well for investors and technology enthusiasts and the like. So um, here are some of the technological pillars I've put, and I believe there are more. So I placed additive manufacturing, augmented reality, of course, the AR, VR, and now the metaverse. We also have autonomous robots, big data and analytics, these are just some of the examples. Now, the fifth industrial revolution will bring human employees back to the manufacturing floors. So before right now, we would fairly agree that there are a few human employees in manufacturing. But in Industry 5.0, we will have them back to the manufacturing floors to combine yung intelligent systems with the workflow. Now, to boost efficiency. Now, Industry 4.0 focuses on, of course, automation. Industry 5.0 will combine people and autonomous machines. Now, which creates, of course, autonomous workers, okay? Now, autonomous workers will understand, of course, the human purpose and desire. So imagine we understand the machine, and by Industry 5.0, we wanted the machine to be programmable, making them to understand us. And it's such a great feature, and it's already been coined cobots, or collaborative robots. So cobots watch and learn from humans like an apprentice. Once learned, they learn how the task is done. The cobots will perform just like how a human operator or like a human operation would do. Now, when working with cobots, of course, somehow we would, I don't know what expectations we would have. Are we going to be satisfied? But with some other technologies which are present, we surely can improve it. So this is just some of the pictures I got, and sort of a scenario on how we would work with robots. And the concept of the Industry 5.0, this is how we can visualize it. Let's say in a production line, there's a human worker working on an assembly in an let's say this is an electromechanical machine. Now the human worker starts the task, okay, and then the robot observes, perhaps with a camera, and then of course connected to a let's say a brain, okay, and the image is processed and then learns the process with the use of AI and machine learning. Now it observes the human and then monitors the environment, and then it would learn how to infer, how the operator will, what the operator will do next. So using human intention analysis, for example, which will be powered by the deep learning. So that's 1, 2, 3. So it's just watching. 4, and then under 5, let's say robots will now start to work with humans to increase production efficiency. Just to increase production efficiency, but not to replace the human workers. Now, a robot is observing simply to understand the workflow. And then the robot starts analyzing our intention through visual observation, perhaps with the use of camera and some of the functional systems. Okay, now it could start from then on. So the growth of the system will is assumed to or perceived to be like this. Now there's also a thing called the virtual training. Now in the virtual training, this actually started in 1997. And it's a kind of training in which the trainee learns a specific task or skill in the virtual or simulated environment. And in some cases, the trainer and the trainee are based in different locations. Now, this type of training significantly reduces the cost and of course, the time for both parties. It is also flexible enough to be updated and reconfigure for new training courses. So, there are so many benefits of simulation, and I guess you would be you have already an idea, such as safety, security, and of course yung cost saving feature um ng simulation. We simulate people going to the space instead of actually building a rocket and teaching them how to fly. Then therefore we do now have a simulation for that. Now, aside from that, it is very important in creating a skilled workforce without risking, of course, the productivity and running process of the safety, in which we, of course, endanger people or the human worker. So it is especially important as well in jobs and tasks that pose some form of all kinds of risk, from posture, all types of physical, maybe not only physical, but all kinds of trauma, let's say emotional, or could be perceived through the simulation. Now, the question in this picture is, how will cobots or collaborative robots help humans in their task? And a cobot looks at what human operator is doing and then decides if it should assist the human, or the human based on the surrounding environment and human interaction. So a system could, do like locate human, observe it, physical observation, and then process other related elements such as audio and other sensor. And then it'll go through a machine cognition. And then the same data will go through human intention analysis, and something would be done. So that is how at least I perceive it. Now, this is a snippet of, let's say, just a general representation of a deep neural network on how we would assume this machine would grow using a deep neural network structure. Now, there are layers, hidden layers, which usually have more nodes than the input and output dimensions. Now, the connection and weights between the nodes and layers determine the learning capabilities of the deep network. And there are more examples that I would say that are present already, but I would want to share with you some of the concerns in the industry 5.0. In the next industrial revolution, which we would agree is already here, humans are expected to add high value tasks in manufacturing policies. So yung standardization and legalization will help to prevent any serious issues between technology and society and businesses. So making sure that human growth is prioritized. I would say if these things are prioritized first, the main side effects is profit. The main consequences of this mindset would be profit. Just like in my example, with Tesla, they focus on uses of renewable resources in their batteries, in their manufacturing, and the way they recycle things. The profit is high, making them, create the most wealthiest person, having paid almost, I don't know, around 11 billion US dollars just by the taxes. So if I remember it correctly. Now, particularly senior members of a society and stakeholders will find it much more difficult to adapt with the new industrial revolution. Of course, it'll always be a challenge. Even right now, with what we experience in the pandemic, our colleagues, which are, let's say, not really technologically adept, and there has been a lot of cases where these workers, yung workers, when there's something new, there would always be some sort of resistance towards change, and that is fairly normal, and it is one concern. Fast and highly efficient manufacturing may result in an overproduction phenomenon, which we need to control, I guess. And implementation transparency should also be taken into consideration. We must consider how autonomous systems can incorporate ethical principle, of course, looking at a value-centric and human-centric. Of course, ethical principle will always be prioritized. And there should be explainable ethical behavior. Ethical behavior in autonomous system must be subject to verification and validation. Essential skill gaps such as CROs in future management and executive roles must be addressed. I think this allows government and all other agency to work hand in hand, making sure that these concerns in the Industry 5.0 will serve the society as a whole. Because we have the data now, I think the reason why we are shifting towards this mindset is simply because the global warming, we know that the price of gas, and these are not renewable resources. That is why looking at wind energy, let's say wave sound, I've seen one technology where they would want to reutilize the signals, the radio frequency and signals from our Wi-Fi, which are free from the satellites, and turn them into an energy which we could, bring power back to our mobile phones. Are some of, I would assume, the things that are happening now in our environment is the most sensible way to move forward. So I would like to conclude my report with the following statements. The fifth industrial revolution will emerge when its three major elements, one, intelligent devices, systems, and intelligent automation fully merge with the physical world in cooperation with human intelligence. Now, the term automation describes autonomous robots as intelligent agents collaborating with humans at the same time in the same workplace. And of course, trust and reliability between these two parties will achieve promising efficiency, which some of the companies have proved already and continues to prove. Flawless production, minimum waste, and customizable manufacturing. And in doing so, it'll bring more people back to the workplace and improve this process efficiency. I wish I was able to give you something that gives a picture of what Industry 5.0 is all about. These are my references, and thank you so much for listening.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your advanced information related to Industry 5.0, because still some other company adapting Industry 4.0, but right now, sabi nga natin kanina, whether we like it or not, so Industry 5.0 is now waiting in Shanghai and here, So Industry 5.0 is aimed at supporting, not superseding humans, don't mistake the upsurge in robotics as an opportunity to eliminate headcount and replace workers who perform repetitive tasks on assembly lines. So manufacturers who understand the value of human intuition and problem-solving capabilities are positioning themselves to thrive. People often think of manufacturing workers as actually a poor substitute for a robot. I don't know if you're familiar with Susan Helper, an economist at Case Western Reserve University, told the New York Times. But in practice, these things are really difficult, and the assembly line worker is making judgment a lot. And it turns out that when you take that person away, you end up with some problems that are hard to solve. Tesla, Tesla CEO, excessive automation at his company was a mistake, not waiting that humans are underrated. So while robots are much more consistent than humans and better at precision work, they're inflexible and incapable of the adaptability and critical thinking that define us as humans. Now, working together with people, robots can fulfill their designated purpose of providing assistance, no, and making our lives better. Universal Robots, no, uses the term cobots as our presenter mentioned, for collaborative robots to emphasize the importance of people in robotic technology. So, Industry 5.0 will make the factory a place where creative people can come and work. So to create a more personalized and human experience for workers and their customers. Now, again, Industry 5.0 is about finding the optimal balance of efficiency and productivity. Again, the objective of Industry 4.0 is to interconnect machines, processes, and systems for maximum performance optimization. On the other hand, Industry 5.0 takes such efficiency and productivity a step further. No, it's about refining the collaborative interaction between humans and machines. No, I don't know if you've heard the word KUKA. No, one of the world's leading suppliers of intelligent automation solution. No, KUKA. No, it is finding that diverse business sectors, no, from the automotive industry to timber construction companies are benefiting from the principles and products engendered by Industry 5.0. But their gains now haven't been achieved without some initial hesitation. So employees, no, a timber construction firm that has teamed with KUKA on Industry 5.0 related initiative. At first, we're skeptical about using robots that could potentially take their jobs away. According to the company's managing director, no, but those fears faded once the efficiency advantage became evident. No, in a production management or production operations rather, they realize, no, that the robots relieve them of physical demanding work and they can concentrate on other tasks. No, craftsmanship and robotics complement each other ideally. No, so another manufacturing company, no, specialty materials used in consumer and electronic products. So is another company that evangelizes the upside of Industry 5.0. So the manufacturer reports now its capacity to dramatically improve efficiency by integrating robots into its manufacturing processes. So the company's website touts a variety of robotic application, including one that features a robot performing a task while a camera system records visual data. So using this system, it is possible for a worker to complete several tasks at one time via robots. And if the camera notes any visual discrepancies, the worker is notified so corrections can be made as early as possible. So Industry 5.0 actually recognizes that man and machine must be interconnected to meet the manufacturing complexity of the future. So in dealing with increasing customization through unoptimized, robotized manufacturing processes. Now, and another, of course, is the progress of Industry 5.0 is unavoidable. No, once you use technology to make a process more efficient, there's no point in reverting to the old way of doing things. No, it's why we use computers with word processing software instead of typewriters. Now, similarly, Industry 5.0 is the manufacturing world's event on the horizon. Given the efficiencies that can be gained, we're well past the point of going back. No, so recognizing actually in Europe's, no, even recognizing that Europe trails, no, the US and China in advancing technologies such as artificial intelligence, the European Union consultative body has called for acceleration of AI and robotics development in the region. No, so the European Union should embrace digitalization wholeheartedly for the sake of consumers, manufacturers, and employees alike. No, so while Industry 5.0 headway can't be stalled, there are still essential questions and ramifications that must address by manufacturers and policymakers. Because excessive automation, for instance, is an issue about which the authors of a research paper published, no, in Omics have expressed concern, and their apprehensions appear to mirror the attitude shifts for innovators. No, whose one aggressive approaches to automation have seen toned down. Now, highly integrative systems are vulnerable to systemic risks such as total network collapse. No? Extreme connectivity creates new social and political structures. If built unchecked, they might lead to authoritarian governance because engaging with this and the many other challenges and opportunities, Industry 5.0 invariably will require planning and preparation commensurate with each manufacturer's needs and expected outcome. Of course, it's not a question of whether a manufacturer can benefit from its personnel working alongside robots, but how they can best leverage new technologies to drive optimal outcomes from human and machine interaction. So don't you worry. Industry 5.0 is a combination of a robot and human intervention. Okay? So I think that's it.